this man named Mick came, yes, make sure it goes back. This man named Mick came to my house with a van full of household essentials. He had pretty much everything you'd probably forget when you went to the shop. And I thought, well, this is a service I'd like to, use because I don't have a car, so I'm greening my life. And he says, he's going to be around the 21st of the month, and I asked him, do you have a web page? And he said, no, but I'm studying at FOSS, I'm learning HTML, and a web page is definitely something I want. So I said, well, you should come to OpenCoffee Sligo, because there's a lot of web developers there. You could talk to them and get some ideas. And he said, what's a web developer? Is that somebody who talks about the future of the internet? And I said, well, yeah, it is sort of. And he said, is it free? And I said, absolutely, it's completely free. And he was boggled by this. He couldn't believe that people would get together once a month to share expertise, possible competitors, and that you could go and do these kinds of things. And I said, actually, there's a lot of people that do this. There's over 120 Open Coffees internationally, and there's actually 20 in Ireland. And since it started up 2 years ago, people have been meeting weekly, sometimes monthly, and it involves entrepreneurs or people who are finding their way out of joblessness or freelancers like myself. And I definitely wanted to come around because in November, there's going to be someone talking about service design and touch points like the little sheet he gave me, and that's probably something he wouldn't bump up against in FOSS. And also in October, we have a woman talking about tax tips for freelancers, and I figure maybe whatever he's doing, it might be kind of under the radar. And so I figured that's probably something that someone like him would benefit from. Anne-Louise O'Donovan, who's doing the tax tips, is an interesting story because she actually, on her first Open Coffee, she had been made redundant 3 days before the Open Coffee. And she was sitting there like, okay, I don't have a job now, who am I? She had been working in the financial services for about a few years anyway, and she was in a job she didn't really love, and she realized she had a lot of expertise she could share with artists and musicians and freelancers who, probably didn't have their finances completely sorted out. And so during the time of the summer, she's been putting together a new identity for herself and a business plan and sort of finding her place. And I've gone through a similar experience. I came back to Ireland 2 years ago, from Japan, in fact. That's the face there, but that's also the face of the woman at FOSS who told me, looking at my diverse background, she said, no, go to Dublin. You'll never find a job up here in the Northwest. It's completely hopeless. But I've actually made some progress. I've got business cards now, and I have a better idea of what I don't want to do as opposed to what I do want to do. I'm still figuring that out. Because I realized that it doesn't matter if I have 100 connections in my LinkedIn, if I can't actually express what it is that my interests and abilities are. So this is actually for my master's in 2003, and I feel like only now, that many years later, that I'm able to realize some of the things I wanted to do. I should point out at this point that we're doing our Open Coffee different than the original one. This is the sign-up form at the OpenCoffee Club on Ning. And the original guy wanted to connect web developers with funders to put together and promote startups. And you can think of our Open Coffee more like a learning community, and I think all of them are sort of learning communities. And if we think of communities of practice, it makes a lot of sense. Wenger said that a community of practice is like falling in love. And I think that's a beautiful phrase, but it's also because we are putting together relationships that help us identify each other. And as a freelancer, you can imagine you're flung away from the cozy world of an organization where you have a good manager, leadership, to recognize your abilities, tell you what you're good at, and put you in the right role. Again, Wenger says, learning is fundamentally social. It's less about learning how to do something as it is about learning to be a certain type of person. So if we think back to Mick, he's at FOSS learning how to do HTML and the guts of a web page. But is he learning to be a web developer? Is he learning to think about the future of the internet? Is he learning how to be an entrepreneur? Probably not. But then we also have to ask, is FOSS capable of doing that? Or does it have to be done through these local social business networks? So we've actually started to develop our own identity, and we've got a plan to do a conference on the 28th of November called Northwest Connects, and we have leaders in the business area and entrepreneurs like Pole Daddy and Drury Communications. I think I've got all the details. And yes, it's free, so if you're interested in coming. And we would like that if people are experiencing similar situations, or if they're freelance or jobless, that they would find local business networks like ours or start one up and help develop a context for themselves. And here's some details of me and about OpenCoffee Sligo. So nice to meet you.